Happiest Friday, everyone. This is Steph Lee, the founder of Host Agency Reviews. Those tuning in on YouTube know that I don't have my camera on today. I'm a little wilty and nobody wants to see a wilty plant. And so I need a little bit of water. Anyhow, excited to be on for the Friday 15, everyone, on this holiday weekend. And with me co-hosting, we have two Z's today. We have Shayna, the managing director at HAR. Hello, Shayna.
Hi.
Yay, yay. And then we have the lovely Lori Speers with Levarte Travel. Welcome back, Lori.
Thank you. I love it.
So excited to have you here. And we have today, usually we try to do some kind of call to action in the beginning on things. So besides liking the video or subscribing to the podcast, we're not going to go into any of that because today we have a ton of questions. So I want to jump into them right away. And they're all from one person. So we'll try to get to them as many as we can. So Shayna, let's have you kick us off.
Yeah. And just as a reminder too, if you want to submit your questions, go to hostagencyreviews.com/Friday15 so that you can have your questions answered live with our guests. So don't forget that's hostagencyreviews.com/Friday15. And I'm going to jump right in, Lori, if you're ready.
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Okay. So the first question that we have is, with so many host agencies and different niches out there, what advice do you have for new advisors who are really struggling to narrow their focus, especially when drawn to either broad destinations, markets, or going a little bit more mainstream?
Okay, so the question is asking what advice for them to narrow their focus. Okay, well, I always say, do what you love, because if you do what you love, the passion comes through. In my career in travel, I originally, when I was married and had 2 children, I specialized in family travel because that's what I knew, that's what I loved. I later specialized in groups because as I started booking more travel, I found I really loved doing groups. If you love cruising, or if you love the fun and sun, or if you love Europe, like today, I specialize in river cruising. And Europe mostly, because that's where I want to go. So if you specialize in where your passion lies, it's never going to go wrong. It's just a natural force then. That's why some people specialize, and you can make it broad, and narrowing it down is always a question. How narrow should I get? Am I going to lose business by being too narrow? And here's my professional opinion. No, you'll actually gain more business. Because when people get to know of you as the expert in that area, let's say Disney World, or let's say all-inclusives, or let's say cruising, or even as narrow as I was going river cruising, they know you're that expert and they know I'm going to go to her because she's the expert in this area. And it actually can build your business.
Yeah, I think that that's wonderful. And the hosts, especially when you go on the profiles, and we'll post in the comments Levarte's profile for you. So please go check that out. They talk about, all the profiles have kind of an option to show what do they specialize in. So as an advisor, when you are speaking to different hosts to figure out which one's a good fit for you, talk about those special niches or what you want to specialize in. I also love the idea, adventure travel has always been at the heart of what I do, right? So because I love it so much and I've experienced it so heavily, I would sell it without selling it.
Right.
Yeah.
Your passion's behind it. That was like when I did family travel. The worst thing you want to do is take your kids on vacation and them say the dreaded words, I'm bored, after you spend all this money. So I specialized on those properties or cruises or all-inclusives or any property that was really going to focus on keeping the children entertained. And it's even more harder challenge these days with their shorter attention span. But wherever your passion lies, that's where you're going to find your niche. And it's hard when you start in the industry to turn away business or say, I don't really do that and specialize, but it really does pay off. And the way you start your business sometimes is the way your business is going to develop. So it's always good to start it the way you want it to be later.
Absolutely. Well, okay. So then, you know what, we're jumping right into question 2, because we've got lots of questions today. Unless, Steph, did you want to add something?
Yes, sorry, I had to mute myself because the dog next to me was sneezing. So
allergy season.
Couple things I was going to say on that is, one, we're going to put our article to finding a niche, because a niche really is going to help you find some direction. Otherwise, it's very, very overwhelming. And I know this question is from Candace. So Candace, I know one of the other things you were concerned about is if you have a more mainstream, I would say, or general niche, and that would be something like you want to do all-inclusives in Mexico, or you want to do cruises. Those pretty much all major host agencies are going to have a large amount of sales with the cruise lines and with the all-inclusives in Mexico and the Caribbean, and that sort of thing, just because they are so popular. So with those, it's a little harder to find a host agency if that's all, if your only criteria is the niche, because there's going to be a lot. So the one thing I would say is, if you can drill down even further for your host agency search, and if there's a certain cruise line that you're looking to book, like if it's Silver Seas or whatever it is, then you can ask specific questions on the commissions. Or if there's a resort chain specifically that you like, you can ask about their relationship with, like, what their sales numbers look like with that hotel chain, things like that. So yeah, let's jump into number 2.
All right, number 2 takes a little bit of a turn in a great way, but question that we get all the time is travel advisor perks and discounts. How do these typically work? And especially kind of noting this misconception that benefits are immediately available to new advisors. Are they or aren't they?
I love this question. I don't think there's a day goes by we don't hear this question. And here's my answer to it. You may find some travel agent discounts available to you right when you enter the industry, because there are going to be some familiarization trips. They want you to become familiar with the destination or particular property chain, resort chain. But they're more available to you, and it gets more than you could probably ever even take advantage of all of them once you start selling travel. And that's where you're really going to see a lot more benefit. Everyone in travel has a loyalty program. Everyone, every hotel, every tour operator, every cruise line, everything you sell has a loyalty program. And sometimes you can even double dip. You will be getting the loyalty benefit with the tour operator at the same time as the resort that you booked on that tour. And those accumulate for cash, extra cash sometimes, or stays or free travel. Yep. So that's how, when you sell more, you get more. Also, you get on people's radar that you're selling, and they want to invite you on their special trips they do, because they know that you'll turn around and sell that property. So it does really expand the more you sell, but there are opportunities. And especially with the host agency, if you look at your host agency, we do 7 to 8 fam trips, just Levarte exclusive a year, just to get those people, because I'm old school and I believe you can't sell what you don't experience. So I like people. Every year we do Cancun, Jamaica, and then we do some exotics in there too. We've done South Africa, we've done Morocco, we've done Bali, we've done Italy, and you're not required sales on those. And a lot of the mainstream host agencies that take on new agents have these opportunities, just like I'm talking about, because we want you to have some exposure, because that way you can sell it better. So you'll still get some before you sell, but you're going to have so much more after you sell.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a really good article, and we'll post it here, about travel agent famil or fam trips, what they are and how to find them. Our one and only Steph wrote it. So that'll give you some more information as well for everybody that's listening, on what they are and how you can find your way on them. But there's lots out there for you to experience. And yes, Laura, I love the experiencing them. When I worked at a supplier, joining the advisors on the Famil trips was just fantastic. So
it's neat. It was expected of us. We had to go to Cancun every year because there's new resorts all the time. Mm-hmm. So being in Texas, it's a popular destination for us.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing we'll put up too is we have an article on travel agent rates. So it lists over 200 travel agent rates. The one thing to know is, again, these travel agent rates. You can't just say you're a travel advisor and get these rates. You need to have met a certain sales threshold. And typically what they're looking for is that you have an IATAN card, which is travel agent ID card is the easiest way to say it, although I'm not sure how accurate that is. Mm-hmm. But how you get that is by earning $5,000 in commissions, so not sales, but in commissions during a 12-month period. So the other thing is a CLIA card as well. You'll be able to get them, and CLIA is just the cruise line version versus IATA is the airlines version.
Exactly. And they do open up discounts for you when you get both of those IDs from those organizations. I was going to mention that with CLIA. It really is helpful. But and there's travel advisor rates. They're not always available. It's space available. So you can't always count on those, but they are available. Mm-hmm. But you also get to pay, usually with most host agencies, your own personal travel, you pay less the commission. So that's already giving you 10 to 15% off. Mm-hmm. Or you make commission on your own travel, which is going to give you between 10 to 15% commission on your own travel. So you kind of make back that way too.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of discounting actually rolls right into our next question, but more on the client side of things. So there is a lot of curiosity, I think, around the exclusive client, I'm going to call it perks, not necessarily discounts. But can you clarify when travel advisors can get access to either special pricing or perks for their clients?
Yeah, this is a very good question. And this is a very good reason why you want to be part of a host. And a very good reason why you want to be part of a host that has really good connections. Okay. We are part of a consortia, which helps us to give our agents value. And one of the ways you get that value, well, we already as travel advisors give value just by giving our time, professionalism, and our expertise. That's valued, okay? But we also can give monetary value as well. For example, because we have groups that are put aside for cruises, example, I'm going to give you one. Our consortia has group cruises. So when we can sell the same cruise that a client could go right to the cruise line and get, we might have group option space, which is going to make that all of our agents are able to book into. And that price is going to be lower. I've seen it $1,200 a cabin lower to book into this space. So that's actual monetary value that we can provide. That's one way. There's several ways. Then there's also added amenities. There's certain things like when you book certain hotels that are part of where we've negotiated or our consortia has negotiated. So our advisors get maybe $100 spa credit at that resort because it's booked through Levarte, for example, or whoever your host is. And, or maybe it's going to be, it could just be an upgraded room or earlier late check-in, any kind of and on a cruise, it could be a shipboard credit. So those things will give you added value through amenities and sometimes even through dollars. And that's why you want to host, because you have more power for those types of things through a host. And it's also why people should use a travel advisor always, because we have these connections. And sometimes you develop them on your own by going to seminars, building relationships. working strategically to build your business and putting things in place with different suppliers that we sell. So I always tell people it's one of the biggest values that people don't understand are those perks and added benefits. And sometimes the perks also come in just our knowledge and professionalism that we're going to share with you, how to cut the line at Disney World, how to get the passes, where to make the perfect dinner reservations and why you should make them. Don't think you're going to go visit New York City and get a NBC studio tour the day you're there. That's something you got to book in advance. Different things like that have value as well.
Yeah, it's these preferred supplier relationships that the hosts and the consortium that they have. We actually have a really good article that we'll post in the comments about what is a preferred supplier in travel. And it really, Lori, you spoke to pretty much all of it and what you can achieve with those preferred relationships, that your host has gone out and they've contracted this on your behalf as a member of that host. And so definitely worth taking a look at. Go through the article, but really Lori hit on every main topic of it, as to what you get because of these relationships that you have.
So when you're looking for your host, look for a host that has these good relationships with their suppliers. And also, I feel like it's my job to get all these relationships in place for the advisors, but also to let the advisors train the advisors on exactly what your question was. What does give me value? Where are my values? Where do I get all this stuff? Because it's one thing if we're creating them all day and then you don't know about them. So it's creating them and also educating the advisors on how to do that. But that's an excellent question. I love that question.
It is. And I think too, for you, Candace, because you're looking to specialize in all-inclusive Mexicos, this is the chance where you can talk to your host agency potential partners and say, I'm looking to book the reuse. I love the reuse. So tell me, what kind of added values or perks have you worked out with your consortia this year? Because maybe like in April and May, they have a bonus 3% commission, or, they may have the extra $50 resort credit that they throw in. So you can do things like that. And then I'm also going to we'll put in the link for the preferred suppliers, but we'll also put one on the consortia, what a travel consortium is, because that's important to understand if you aren't already kind of aware of the hierarchy that's there, Candace.
Yeah,
exactly. And sometimes, especially in the all-inclusive market, more cruises have more amenity added value. Some of the all-inclusives do, but when you're looking for a host, ask what's the relationship like with all the all-inclusives too. Sometimes it's really, sometimes maybe you just want to make the most commission too.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, maybe we'll round this out with our final question, that is about itinerary planning tools. And we'll post a link to our travel technology providers. So we have a full directory of different travel tech providers that everyone can go take a look at. But Lori, for you, these itinerary planning tools can be such a support and such a game changer for advisors. Do you have a favorite tool that you recommend, or how can advisors choose the right fit for their workflow?
I do have one that I recommend and have a really good relationship with them, actually. And this is another reason why you want to host, and another question you want to ask of your host. We have a very tight relationship with Travify, and you'll see them on the list in Host Agency Review. And our relationship is so that when you're a Levarte member, your monthly subscription, because these are usually additional monthly subscriptions, first of all, and they can range in price, and we get it very discounted. It's only $19 a month. And how do I do that? We guarantee so many of our members are going to be in it that's how we get the lower price. So whether I have that many or not, I'm paying for it so our advisors can have it. I would say right now, 3/4 of our members all have a Travify account. Travefy is beautiful. It makes you look professional. It's easy to use. That's the most important thing. It has a library of not just for quotes and itinerary building, but also forms you might need, ways you can take payments from clients. What I really like, which goes along with the question as well, is when you put flights in there, if the flight changes, it's real time and it will change that flight on this itinerary for you to your clients. I love that feature. And
Yes.
but I also love that it makes you look very professional and with very little effort, instead of just like I used to do days ago, send a blanket email with a quote and a whole bunch of words. My favorite thing is to send a Travefy, and there's a way you could put a little video on it. And you can even be on there saying, I want to take you through this quote that I just sent you. With Loom, you could put a little video on it and put that on your Travefy. So they get this beautifully, when I say beautifully, it looks so professionally done. And then there's you presenting it to them as they're going through it. I mean, there's no better way to close a sale, in my opinion.
Super nice. Let me share my screen really quick too, because I want to show people the travel agency software list. So here, we're linking to it in the description, but if you go to Tech Offered and you go to the itinerary builder, that will pull up all the itinerary builders. You can see there's Travefy here, but there's also some other options. So you can click on it and say on Travefy's profile, here's a little demo that you can watch, and then you can read all the different reviews. If you have questions, it has the question and answer tab for you. So that's something that you can take a look at and decide which one is going to be the best fit for you. But that's a great, Lori, you bring up a great point when you're shopping hosts. If you know the type of software that you want, you can ask what the pricing is on that. Because if yours is saving them $25 a month or $20 a month, you know, that's $250 a year roughly that they're not having to pay. So that can be a huge savings chunk for you.
Right, definitely. And a lot of those that you had on that list for itinerary builders are also CRMs. And that's a whole nother technical side that you want to have that conversation with your host as well. You really can't do travel anymore without really starting to get into this, but you want to make sure the host that you're going with doesn't just throw you to the wolves with it, but it has really good training as well. And that's another thing with Travefy. Not only do we train on it, but they have excellent training. But all those that were up there for itinerary builders are all good. I know all of them, and they all do lend a lot of good training as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, per usual, our Friday 15s turned into Friday 23s, and we love it here. We could probably talk forever, but Lori, thank you so much for taking.
Thank you. I love these. I absolutely love them. Love both of you, and love Host Agency Review. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, the feeling is incredibly mutual. And before we sign off, we will make sure to post Levarte's profile so that you can go take a look, learn a little bit more about them, reach out directly to Lori and Lori's team with any questions that you have. And Lori, please come back soon. This was just so lovely. Thank you so much.
It. Y'all have a great weekend. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Bye, Lori.
Bye.
Bye.